That's when somebody tried to rob him and killed the dude. What the hell my 19-year-old cousin gonna try to rob and kill somebody? Bro, we getting money, man. We getting money. That ain't our stilo.
You know me, bro, that ain't my stilo, bro. You know what I'm saying? That ain't how I get down, bro. Like, that ain't how none of my people get down.
Boosie is catching fire from every angle right now. The streets don't even want to say his name after whispers came out that he was the one who called the hit on Duke the Jeweler. He's not just disliked, he's flat out blacklisted from a place he once bragged about calling home. He already got pressed once, and word is, if he dares to show his face in the hood again, it won't just be hands waiting for him, it could be a stretcher. Everybody knows Boosie has ties to that mob tie circle, and the way Duke lost his life makes people feel like it was deja vu, just like what happened to Takeoff at one of those so-called games. Now the big question flying around is brutal. Did Boosie really sacrifice Duke, or is he just being lined up as the fall guy for something bigger than him? The outrage around Duke's death hit hard because nothing about it felt like chance. It felt like a cold-blooded execution. But to really get why people are pointing fingers, you gotta know how it went down. Duke was at that dice game all night, shoulder to shoulder with men he thought were his friends, while they might have been signaling behind his back the whole time. Why would anyone even want Duke gone? Simple. He wasn't some regular jeweler. Duke built his entire empire from zero, grinding non-stop, no handouts, no favors. He had the streets buzzing with his custom designs, and it wasn't just up-and-coming rappers rocking his work. He had big names dropping cash on his pieces too. That's why when he left Chicago for Houston, it wasn't just for fun or to flash some jewelry. He went strictly on business moves. And who pulled him into Houston? None other than Boosie himself. Boosie said he wanted to discuss custom work, so Duke showed up heavy, $1 million duffel stuffed with his finest designs, ready to cut a serious deal. What Duke didn't realize was that this would be his final trip. That same duffel, it wouldn't end up back in his hands, it would turn up somewhere so wild people still whisper about it today. Now let's zoom in on that dice game, because it connects straight to Duke's last moments. Reports say this wasn't just some casual gambling night. It was a setup from jump, and it was Whack 100, somebody with deep street ties, who came out and confirmed what everyone already suspected. Whack didn't hold back. He said plain as day, if you ever get invited to a dice game in Houston, especially one with Jay Prince in the mix, you better run. According to him, walking into one of those games means you either lose your cash or you lose your life, and Duke learned that the hard way. Whack even broke down the mechanics of the hustle. Those dice weren't normal. They were rigged to make sure only Jay Prince Jr. or his mob ties family could win. Everyone else, walking targets. That's why Duke's death didn't shock the insiders. To them, it was the inevitable outcome of a game designed to rob you blind, or worse. Duke wasn't just stacking wins that night, he was recording the whole thing too. He pulled out his phone, flexing hard, filming himself dropping bundles of cash and laughing like the table was his stage. At first, it looked like the regular "I'm up big" type of flex. But when those clips resurfaced, folks noticed the real story wasn't Duke's smile, it was what was happening behind him. Quick side glances, hushed whispers, strange hand signals. None of it looked like fun and games at all. And get this, word is Jay Prince takes 30% off the top from every dice night. So when Duke came through flipping the odds, he wasn't just messing up the flow, he was messing with the bag. Here's where the whole thing starts looking dirty. Duke thought he was just documenting his streak, but those same clips exposed moves he didn't even catch himself. Roll the tape slow, and you'll see it. Boosie leans back, throws a quick signal to his nephew, and suddenly, the energy in the room flips. His nephew locks eyes, another man taps him on the shoulder, and just like that, all the laughter dies. One moment Duke is tossing dice, grinning ear to ear. The next moment the air turns cold like everyone already knew what was about to go down. Minutes later, it all unraveled. Duke left the game with no security, no squad, Just him and a bag worth millions in jewelry and cash walking through a dark Houston parking lot. 1 second he's hyped, replaying the night in his head, and the next, gunshots rip through the air. That's when the questions started pouring in. Why would Boosie, a millionaire, invite a guest from out of town knowing he's carrying millions, but not set him up with security? And why didn't J. Prince Jr., the host of the game, make sure people leaving his table were protected? With all that money floating around, leaving players unguarded was a setup waiting to happen. But here's the part that flipped this whole tragedy into a straight-up conspiracy. Cops hit the scene and were told Duke had been ambushed by robbers. But when they checked the body, Duke was lying in his own blood, chains still hanging from his neck. Think about that. What kind of robber shoots a man and then runs off without taking the obvious shining evidence of wealth sitting right there? And here's the twist that shocked everyone. The duffel bag. That same $1 million bag packed with Duke's unreleased jewelry designs was gone. But it didn't stay gone for long. When Houston PD dug deeper, guess where it popped back up? In Boosie's house. That bag left the game untouched, but Duke didn't. Now Boosie tried to flip the script. He hopped on live pushing it was just a robbery angle, but nobody was buying it. His story wobbled from the start. He even claimed he barely knew Duke and that Duke just walked off after the game. But once that bag reappeared tied to his name, his whole defense started looking like smoke and mirrors. Something smelled off from the jump. Boosie didn't come off calm. He looked pale and rattled, like someone who just saw a ghost, not like someone with nothing to hide. That twitchy vibe made people lean hard into suspicion right away. By now, nobody was buying a single line that came out of Boosie's mouth. The more he talked, the more it sounded like a sloppy cover-up. And when the clips and interviews hit social, the comment threads went nuclear. One viral take nailed it. Boosie seemed to know everything Duke did before and after, like he was watching him the whole time. That reaction blew up because it matched what people already whispered on the block. It got so sketchy the feds had to step in, and once they did, things escalated fast. Boosie was already on the radar for unrelated gun charges, but Duke's case flipped the switch. Agents opened a fresh probe and started digging, and dirty leads showed up like clockwork. They began by tracing Duke's phone. The last ping, Boosie's studio. Unless Duke's phone walked itself there, someone from Boosie's circle moved it. No accident. That's not sloppy work, that's bold confidence. The type you only see when people think they're untouchable. Then it got colder. Feds ran a forensic sweep on Duke's rental car and pulled prints that matched Boosie's cousin and nephew. Suddenly, that quick signal Boosie passed during the game felt like the hit call itself, like the moment Duke's fate was sealed. Unreal. Just when it seemed like you couldn't stack more bad signs, a witness stepped up with the full play-by-play that even the feds couldn't ignore. They'd been outside smoking and said they watched Duke walk to his car. Everything looked normal until Boosie's nephew jumped out like he'd been waiting in ambush. The witness said Duke swung first, trying to defend himself, but he didn't stand a chance. Seconds later, shots rang out and Duke was down. The witness insisted it wasn't a robbery setup. No one was rifling chains or grabbing the duffel. This was about silencing him for beating a rigged game. It was payback, plain and ugly. That detail flipped the narrative from a random street robbery to a planned hit. Now the feds aren't messing around. They've got a microscope on Boosie's whole life, his businesses, his messages, his associates, and they're mapping every move. They even widened the net to include a family member who's connected to his crew to make sure they cover all angles. This isn't casual questioning. This is full surveillance and pressure. And in the streets, Boosie's life is cracking apart. The last time he showed his face where he used to run things, a group of guys jumped him. No mercy. That kind of public clout loss is brutal, and people are treating him like a marked man now. Bottom line, the clues keep snapping into place, and every time Boosie tries to steer the story, another piece comes out showing he was closer to the scene than he wanted everyone to think. The heat's on him, the feds are closing in, and the block, they're watching every move like it's a live feed. J. Prince Jr. and his crew built that check-in culture, forcing any rapper or big name rolling through to stop and pay respect, or pay up for protection. Touchdown in Houston, and J. Prince makes you cough up serious paper for protection, skip the fee, and you risk getting ambushed, robbed, or worse. But what kind of protection is that when the alternative is getting jacked or killed? then add the deadly dice games that almost always end in gunfire. Just 2 weeks after Duke was killed, Takeoff died at another dice table. He didn't even make it to the parking lot. He went down right at the table where he was playing. There are only so many coincidences before it all starts to look like a pattern, not luck. All this violence tied to Boosie isn't just wrecking his name, it's smashing his money flow too. Brands are pulling back, partners are shelving deals, and the mob ties crew he trusted, they turned their backs and left him out in the cold. Boosie tried to save face with flimsy excuses, but the DJ Vlad interview changed nothing. Fans were glued waiting for answers, but Boosie dodged every real question, hid behind shades, and played dumb about Duke. The way he talked, the body language, people felt that he was hiding way more than he admitted. Once that clip leaked, it spread like wildfire. Comments lit up with people saying Boosie wore sunglasses so he wouldn't meet Vlad's eyes while he lied. They called him out, he capping. He knew what Duke did before and after, and that public distrust stuck hard. Now the feds and the streets are both watching. Investigations are digging into his business, his contacts, and every sketchy move. The block's done with him. He showed up and got jumped when he tried to step back into his old turf. The word on the street is that the walls are closing in, and Boosie's running out of places to hide. If you want the full breakdown when the next piece drops, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss it.